Hello friends, we are going to discuss a new topic in this video, and this topic is directly related to your health, and that to be your psychological and physical health. Of course, it is your course topic, but it has direct implication on your health and your quality of your life. So what the topic is today? The topic is the scope of health psychology. In this process or in this short video, we'll be discussing or we'll be starting our discussion with introduction of health psychology. Then we'll move to the what are the questions that this health psychology answers. Yes, there are certain questions that are answered by this health psychology. What are that? We are going to discuss that. And finally, we'll be focusing our discussion on the scope or the areas where health psychology works. The areas from where the health psychology take its strength and the health psychologist researches out. So we are discussing the course of video, the scope of health psychology. Now, one important point here I want to make it is that the health psychology is part of applied psychology. Because you already I discussed you, applied psychology is an umbrella term and health psychology is part of applied psychology. See, in Chinese literature, they discuss two things, yang and yin. See, this image depicts this thing. That is related to health. Not only Chinese tradition, Indian traditional literature is purely, as a science of longevity, that is Ayurveda. That is focusing upon how we can improve our whole health. Not only physical health, whole health. Now, these things are beyond our discussion. So, we'll be starting with the introduction of health psychology. It is also known as medical psychology or behavioral medicine. It is a subfield of psychology in which the main concern is how biology, psychology, behavior, and social factors are involved in one's physical health and illness. See, an individual is physically ill. Some symptoms, there is manifesting some symptoms of illness. So, when we study that illness and suggest some cure, so that time we have to be very careful and study how that individual biology and that is mind or psychological, that is variables, behavior and other social factors has given rise to that particular illness. So it emphasizes the role of mind on the health in context to cause and prevention of illness. Means the main focus is of health psychology is the what mind role plays in context of health and prevention of illness. Means focusing on the mind's role on the health and illness. It claims, what claims? Health psychology. The principles of health psychology, the researches of health psychology. They claim that illness can be caused by combination of biological, that is virus, bacteria and all kind of pathogens. Psychological, what are the psychological? Your behavior, your belief system, your ideas, how you approach anything and how you respond to the stimulus. All these things comes under psychological domain and social factors. This means your area where you stay, your society, your type of employment, your socio-economic status, how your interpersonal relations are. All these are the three things. That is biological, psychological and social factors. They interact and combine together and cause illness. This is the idea of health psychology. This approach, which type of approach? Which I discussed, that is a combination of bio, psycho and social, reflects the biopsychosocial model of health and illness which was developed by Engel in 1977-1980, which is there available here in small slide I put up here. What are the biological factors which I discussed? Psychological factor, your coping, your stress, your pain, social factors, in which class you belong to, your ethnicity, sorry, employment, everything else. These are the biopsychosocial model. Means this is the focus of health psychology. There is no only biological factors responsible for the illness or the health. There nor the psychological or the social factors individually. They combine together and forms a model which was discussed by the angel and that are responsible for the your health as well as illness. As I discussed, what are the questions that are addressed by the health psychologist? First is why illness in the first instance occurs. That's the important point. That the medical scientists or some doctors or physicians, they will be discussing or researching about the illness from the perspective of their viewpoint. But health psychologists suggest and explores why the illness occurs in the first instance only. The second question is how the individual responds to illness. This is a second important question. The third important question is recovery from illness or adjustment to illness. This is a very fundamental question that is answered by the health psychologist. Suppose there is an individual infected with some disease or suffering from some illness. If that illness is curable and individual gets cured and the process of recovery, how that individual recovers from that illness is a very, very important point where health psychologists put their efforts. And there are certain illnesses, certain diseases which are cannot be cured right now by some your physical interventions or psychological interventions or social interventions. They are beyond curable. They are incurable, you call it. So in that case, how that individual who is suffering from that particular disease adjusts to that illness? That adjustment has to be from your mind, from your not your body has to adjust. Body has to adjust your biologically, but how you perceive that illness, how your belief system are affect that illness, and everything that comes, that is your adjustment to illness. This is a very important aspect that is studied by the health psychologist. And important is fourth question: how people stay healthy. There is example. This comes under positive deviance. When there are 4 or 5 villages or particular geographical areas, certain people are suffering from old disease, whereas few people or people from a village are healthy. So in that case, we have to study and find out why these people are healthy. What are the factors responsible for their health? What is their behavior? So that items, that variables are to be studied and are may be applied if possible in the other areas so that that health can be maintained. So these are the dear friends, these are the 4 important questions whenever you study health psychology or you are interested in health psychology research. You have to keep your focus on these questions and you have to dig around these questions deeply, then you can be known as a good health psychologist. This means this is the only scope, but this seems to be small, but it's a very big. Now let us discuss what is the scope of health psychology. Health psychology covers following areas. What are the areas? Maintenance of health, your prevention of health, treatment. When someone gets some disease and needs to be treated, that is a part of and the scope of health psychology. Follow up and promotion of health. So first we'll discuss stress and coping. Let us read these points first and we'll discuss in small and brief and very to the point discussion. Identification of psychological variables responsible for illness, health and illness relationship. Then comes health related behavior. It is of 2 types. Either it's the health promoting behavior or health deteriorating behavior. The fifth point is patient physician relationship. Physician may be answering certain questions, may be providing, suggesting, prescribed medicines, but what the relation between patient and physicians are very important. That is the scope of health psychology. We'll discuss each point in subsequent slides. Management of health and illness, relationship between mind and body in context of health, lifestyle choices, behavioral intervention techniques, and research on origin and correlates of illness. Now let us start brief and very to the point discussion. Stress and coping is a very important aspect, and the lots of people worldwide, millions and billions of people are struggling with stress and how to cope up. They are very facing very big problem. So what stress is and what coping is, the pattern of responses as an organism makes to stimulus or an event that disturbs the equilibrium and exceeds a person's ability to cope. Very important thing I want to tell you here. Suppose there is a you have knees. Certainly you have. It's a very funny question. Your knees are made up to carry 60 to 70 as per your height, your load. But suppose you gain a weight of 150 kg, almost 300 pounds. So your knees are made up to carry almost 60 to 70 or 80 kgs. This means as per your height, weight. But that weight these knees are carrying always is more than 300 pounds or 150 kilogram. So what will the impact on these knees? You can very well know. You can very well estimate. These knees, your knees, will give up in a few days, or few months, or few years. Similar is the case here. Your mind is designed. Your mind has your genetic blueprint to deal with certain level of stressful situations. But when the situation or the event exceeds your coping level or your ability to cope, that time your internal or mental equilibrium gets disturbed and organism feels stress and start manifesting stress related symptoms. That is things I want to make very clear here. It is what stress? Stress refers to physiological responses that occur when an organism fails to respond appropriately to emotional or physical threats. This means stress is a physiological response, but that its impact is psychological and that have a negative impact on including your physiological health too. But how to cope with stress? Indian literature, traditional literature, you take it as a Gita, or it is a Ayurveda, or it is a Charak Samhita, or any other things which I do not know. They have only one thing in focus, moksha. Means you have to attain health. First, you have to be psychologically and physiologically healthy. Then only you can move ahead in your goal or objective. So there are suggested various techniques such as mindfulness. What mindfulness is, I think very well you know. When you do something, you must be aware that you are what you are doing. That is mindfulness, simple thing. Suppose if you are eating a carrot or you are taking a bowl of a curd, you must be aware that I am taking that curd, taste of the curd, that is entering through your esophagus into your through your traveling to the stomach, and the temperature what it has, the taste of it, and visual treat. This means you must be mindfulness in every aspect. In that case, certainly there will be no stress. Cognitive behavioral therapy, meditation, very well known, established by thousands and thousands of research that meditation is the biggest and the best coping strategy for the stress. Yoga, it has been designed, Ashtanga Yoga, it has been designed to deal with the stressful and not only stressful overall health as prospects. Natural medicine, deep breathing, music, pets, nature, all these things, these are certain techniques that helps in coping up with the stress. You can find millions of pages or lots of videos how to cope with the stress on the YouTube. I don't want to focus more on this. The next point is identification of psychological variables responsible for the illness. This is the focus, this is the field, this is the scope area of health psychology. What are these variables? Maybe I'm discussing very few. So the stress is one of the variables. They have to identify the individual facing stress. And how to deal with that? Lifestyle is a very, very important variable responsible for your health and illness. Your health related beliefs. What is your belief system? How you believe, how you behave, and what is your response pattern to a particular stimulus or events. Your interpersonal relations. These all comes under the scope of health psychology under the second point, that is identification of psychological variables responsible for illness. Then comes health and illness relationship. Yes, health is a separate thing, illness is a separate thing, but they are related to each other. They are interrelated. The health psychology studies how they are related to each other. I don't want to explain the definition of the health given by WHO. You can study here, you can study elsewhere also. But the important point is health psychology studies how health and illness are interrelated to each other. Illness or sickness is related to personal experience of a disease. That is AISW 2010. They said that, I'll explain it along with an example. Suppose there are two people, they are suffering from the same problem, same disease or same illness. So here point is how one individual perceive that illness and what's second. One suppose perceive that I am always ill, I cannot talk, it is difficult to consume food during illness and something like this. Where second individual said illness is must, because it improves your immune system. It prepares your body for the next attack. Means your body creates antibodies for the particular virus or bacteria or pathogen. So now see the personal experience of an individual that differs and that matters. Next point is health related behavior. As I discussed earlier also, it is only of two types. Only two, not more than two. That is health promoting behavior and health deteriorating behavior. Everyone knows what health promoting behavior is. The behavior when you adopt that promotes your health, and the behavior that you adopt that deteriorates your health. So what are that promoting behavior? Suppose you are regularly doing some physical activity or some exercise in the gym or in the aerobic or anaerobic exercise and everything else, you are taking proper nutrition, your interpersonal relations are good, you are committed to your duties, you are honest, you work hard, and you remain mindfulness, you consume good quality food, everything this comes under your health promoting behavior. And of course you have a good sleep. Opposite to that, contrary to the health promoting behavior, there is a health deteriorating behavior, such as sedentary life. You call it a couch potato. Your lifestyle is very sedentary. You consume lots of junk food, poor sleep. Yes, these social networking sites, websites now are slowly nibbling your sleep, and this, if you have a poor sleep, dear friends, your cognitive functioning is the first aspect that get affected by the poor sleep. You can read lots of literature in respected journals. They found that your sleep deprivation directly impacts your cognitive functioning, cognitive ability. Psychological pollution, what it is? This is a very important point, a very new item. What is psychological pollution? Suppose when you talk to someone, you deal someone, but there is a negative thoughts, negative process going on in your mind in that ideas. This is known as psychological pollution. This is a very small definition I am giving. You can, if I start defining psychological pollution in this video, then it is very difficult to understand, and to watch this video for you, it become very long, more than 1 hour. So we'll discuss psychological pollution. If you need this, what it is, you can put in my comment box, and I'll certainly post new video, particularly regarding what psychological pollution is. The next scope comes under patient-physician relationship. Very important. I have seen in India, I had very large experience with the Indian doctors. I have not dealt with any foreign doctor right now, but I have experience. You went to the chamber of the doctor, inside the chamber of the doctor. A doctor is sitting there with something that stethoscope and various books and various on the table. First time on the table, various that medicine diary and everything that is very distracting for the patient. The moment you sit down on the that revolving bench made up of steel, if you go in the winter, that is very cold. or the doctor is sitting in the air conditioned room, that is also very cold. So first impact is there. But when you sit down that rotating that bench, or you call it a stool, and start explaining the doctor the symptoms you had last night. So I was feeling some little bit of sickness or some headache. Certain doctors, maximum doctors, what they do, the moment they listen your first word, sir, I was feeling big headache in the night and nausea and everything else, they start prescribing medicine without listening to you. The moment you finish your symptoms, explanation of symptoms, they will have a prescription ready for you and they say next. Take this medicine and kindly come after a week or 3 days or 4 days, whatever it may be. So, what this relay, what does explains this? So, in this case, you must have better patient-physician relationship. 50% of your disease can be cured by good relationships. I am not saying that all doctors are such, but maximum are such, which I experienced in my life. That I have completed 44 years. I have gone to various doctors. They do the same thing. They may be the government doctor or private doctor. They are only worried about number of OPD patients. I am not criticizing all medical fraternity, dear friends. My idea is to make you aware that kindly avoid such physicians if they do not have a good patient-physician relationship. How they are going to cure if they doesn't understand your problem itself. If they understand your problem with your symptoms, what the symptoms you are telling, and prescribing medicine, that is a not good procedure. They are trained to understand, trained to diagnose the problem themselves, and then they prescribe medicines. That has to be the approach. But why I'm sorry, dear friends, to say that that is not the case in where I met various doctors. So, dear friends, my dear doctors, dear friends, I am not against you, but I want to make it very clear to your fraternity people are behaving this way. There are no ethical practices and everything else. So, these relationship depends upon mutual trust between patient physician, ethical practices and professional relations, which are all governed by the psychological principles and theories. Dear friends, next is management of health and illness. So, health and illness is coordinated activity that involve patient, physician, and caregivers. Relationship between mind and body. It's a very important thing. That there is a relation between mind and body in context of health is to be studied by which subject, which branch of psychology, that is health psychology. It's a very important. What is mind? That is your thoughts, your emotions, your belief system, your attitude towards the health and everything of these things. This comes under the mind. How this mind is related to your body, that is a very important and studied by the health psychology. Lifestyle choices. Nowadays, people are start calling lifestyle diseases or lifestyle illness. Means the illness or the diseases that occur due to your present lifestyle, that these are known as lifestyle diseases. So suppose you are continuously facing some illness or disease and you are taking lots of medicine and everything else you are taking, but your disease you are not getting cured. What you have to do is you go to health psychologist. They will suggest that present lifestyle needs to be modified. If your present lifestyle has given certain aberrations to you or some disorders to you, certainly there is no need to cure the symptoms. Just deviate little from your lifestyle and dear friends, you will be cured. This is the thing that comes under the scope of health psychology. They also offer you various options that what are the best lifestyles that can promote your whole health, that is psychological and physical health. And the last part, 2 points we are going to discuss here is behavioral intervention techniques. Means certain techniques that are required and important for promoting your health, prevention the illness, rehabilitation, adjustment and everything else. The behavioral intervention techniques are designed to reinforce positive behavior through rewards and feedback, which plays decisive role in health. So, dear friends, What are the intervention techniques? Certain techniques. If you behave particular way, you will be rewarded. If you behave in a positive way, you will be rewarded for. You will give a reinforcement. Other thing is continuous feedback. That if this is your lifestyle, you are behaving certain particular way, responding to particular stimulus, that can impact or affect your health in this way. That is known as feedback. That plays decisive role in health. What that improves is modify the behavior. But once you, and that is intervention technique, once you modify your behavior, certainly you will have a better health. Then comes, and the last point, last scope of health, that's health psychology, is research on origin and correlates of illness. See, research is the backbone of everything we have today. With research, we found the hidden things. So here also, health psychology, what they do is they study that health psychologist, illness, and how that occurred, how that in first place it's originated, and what are the correlates, other factors that giving rise to illness. I can read the point which I written in my slide is health psychologists explore the psychological correlates of illness in order to understand the underlying psychological causes. Here, the causes may be some every other thing. Maybe your bacteria, maybe your pathogen. Doctors will tell, the physicians will tell, there is no role that psychology plays in your health. But dear friends, maybe you are suffering from a particular disease. That may be due to some pathogen. But how that entered? And what are the behavior that your behavior permitted it to enter that pathogen in your body? That is important, and that is studied by the health psychologist on the research point. So dear friends, this was our scope of health psychology. These are my references from where I've taken this. You can cross check them and you can find any mistake it is there. And our next lecture or next video will be new ideas and new enthusiasm. We'll be discussing what are the objectives of health psychology. By the time, we'll be thanking you. Meet you next time and meet you soon. And if you have any doubt, anything you want to say something on my video, you can write me at vermasujit@yahoo.com. By the time, one small request. If you like it, share with your friends, your teachers, and your family members. But if you dislike it, certain part of it, or you want to say something to me, kindly that you must write to me. One more thing, you may not share. Kindly, if you like it, you don't want to share, don't share it. But if you dislike it, that my request is kindly share with me. I'll further improve it or suggest or improve myself in my videos. By the time, thank you from my heart watching this video, and certainly I'm sure this video is going to help you in your educational point of view as well as your personal or healthy point of view. Thanks once again.